Hello, welcome to Toys Are Evil. Right now I'm going to do my stack of comics. Let me see, wait. Yeah, can. Trying to turn on the light upstairs. No, on the light just above me. And so what I'm going to do here, which I've yet to find out a title for. Normally I need to find out a title first, but it's just impatience on my end that I will and have been and will continue to take a stack of comics from my Hoard and just go through them one by one and show them on Instagram. Bear in mind, this is not necessarily a show and sell, and at the same time, it's not necessarily a flex, more so than it would be to share what I adored and what I collected. All of these were more likely 2 decades ago, or at least 2 decades ago. I stopped collecting comics a while back because of finances, and comics was the last thing I decided not to do. Shortly after that, if those who have heard my story, the condensed version is, I used to collect comics for ages, and this was before toys, before trading cards. Comic books were my life, and it helped shape my teenhood to adulthood, actually. But I reached a point where I couldn't afford, and I stopped collecting single issues. I along with any other comic book collectors, had weekly pulls, so I stopped my weekly pulls and eventually stopped altogether. And I was trying my best not to read comics at all, but couldn't lah. In the end, alternatively, sometimes I would wander into bookshops and buy trade paperbacks instead. And I was never a trade paperback person. But after not reading comics for a while, I embraced it because that's the only way I can get the most economical way to read my stories and see the art which I enjoy. Having said that, thank you all for listening so far, and hope what I have to show you later is worth your time watching. Having said that, let's go through the stack. Bloody Mary, number 2 or 4. I'm a hoarder. Okay, I end up hoarding a lot of stuff that I do not necessarily read, but for titles, let's say Garth Ennis, of course, Carlos Iquila, can't pronounce his name, sorry bro. I remembered him from 2080 comic books. I think he illustrated Rogue Trooper? Might be wrong, bro. Might be wrong, I might be totally wrong. It is lah, recognize the artwork. So yeah, I do follow, when I started comic books, I follow artists. Then subsequently I followed writers. Characters, I personally feel, are as interesting as how the writer writes them. I feel. There are some key characters which I enjoy as well. And they're not necessarily from the established like Marvel or DC, actually. As I'm talking to you right now, I'm trying to pull names out of my head, but I can't. Immediate character that popped into my Grendel from Dark Horse? Is it Dark Horse? Matt Wagner's Grendel. And the other one is Dr. X. So a lot of visual aspect, character aspect that is more alluring to me than stories sometimes. So it's different. There's different for different characters and different artwork lah. Yeah, so if I'm not making any sense, I apologize. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to ramble on camera. And the opportunity I have to admit this, the opportunity to ramble on something I'm passionate about. Because I do not do that in real life as well. One thing which I really do miss and enjoy is going to comic book shops, not just to buy comics, but it's also having conversations with like-minded folks in the comic book shops. I remember back in the day when I collected comics, if I had girlfriends, I would always tell them, give me that day off or that night off if I'm going to collect comics, maybe, because comics come in on Wednesdays in Singapore, maybe Thursdays they'll come in, so be on the shelves either Thursday or the latest on Fridays, which is tricky lah, how to date on a Friday night when I want to collect comics. But I always request, give me a day off, I go, so I can drop by, pick up my comics and chat with friends in the comic book shop. And I have tons of friends I spoke to, which actually I might not necessarily know names of for years until even later. Shout out to Jean, that subsequently we still meet each other in conventions and we talk about comic books and toys. So it's cool. Jean Whitlock, rock and roll. Danger Jane, shout out to you. Coming back to the comic books. Ghost Rider, wow, so drama. Dark Past. This probably is part of a massive crossover series. I really enjoyed Ghost Rider back in the day. But after a while looking at this, it's a bit... no memory. Curse of the Spawn. How to deny, man? I say up front, I recognize I have not read this issue. Not read this issue. I just collected, just hoarded to read. And this is cool because the back of the comic book shows action figures. Do I have this series? Yeah, I don't think I have this series. Yeah, I think I stopped collecting action figures up to a certain point. Oh, nice. Super Patriot. Yeah, I do not recognize these, so probably I did not collect these. DV8. In yesterday's video, I found 2 copies of multiple variant covers of issue number 1s. And this is variant covers of issue number 1. Hoarder that I am, I will buy multiple copies. No, okay, to be fair, not multiple copies. I will buy all the different covers. Because like I say, art base. This must be Jim Lee. Yes, Jim Lee. So I'm a sucker for this. Yeah, I'm not going to see the inside of it. Sorry, Ramas. Superman Adventures. I hoard lah. I don't necessarily call it. I enjoy the cartoons now, but the animation, we should call it. But, wow. Can't believe I bought this. Can't believe I bought this. JLA Ace of Wonder. Nice. Paul Craig Russell. Let's have a look. I'm curious. Because I don't remember reading this. So, yeah, it's one of my hoarding ways. Wait, as I mentioned before in my videos, a lot of my comics are in plastic sleeves. But my problem is I never seal the sleeves. A lot of comics I do not seal. Because a lot of times I want to put 2 issues back to back, let's say consecutive. If this is number 1, number 2 at the back, then I'll seal them. You know, it's like I'm being the cheapo, make full use of the plastic bags and storage. Why can't... Okay, finally take it open. Yeah, Paul Craig Russell. Love your art, bro. Looks nice. It looks nice. A lot of text. Would I read this? When I'm in the mood for retro. Yes. I put this aside. I put this back in the stack lah. I realized this. Yesterday I put comics in a stack. You know, comics I want to read in a different stack. But I realized if ever I were to go back to it, I mean, no, that's not the case. I have no space. Literally, I have no space. Teen Titans, Jeff Johns. Mike McCone. McCone? Sorry if I mispronounced names. Oh, nice. GLA Ace of Wonders. What number is this? What number is this? So yes, somehow or other this might be back to back, provided the number works. Okay, this is number 2. 2 of 2. 1 of 2. Okay, sorted. I have just fulfilled my intention. And now I literally can show you what I mean. 2 issues back to back, consecutively. I think one of the main reasons, or one of, not the main reason, it's not because I'm cheapskate, I want to save on plastic. It's because if ever I want to read anything, I don't need to dig through my hoard to find the next issue. So like this, I can have 1 issue, it goes to the next. Make sense? And I really want to seal this now, but I got a feeling I want to read this, so I don't seal it. The Iron Age. Nice. This is like a retro Iron Man. Might read this. X-Men. I love the art. Let me check if the interior is the same. Looks the same. Alan Farmer. Yes, it is. Love your art, bro. Art by Alan Davis. Story and art. Love the art, man. Love the art. Love the style and aesthetics. So time it works for me. And quite dynamic as well. Stills and action. So, wow, what's this interior thing about? Wow, I even bought those, like how to draw like a comic book artist. My dream was to be a comic book artist growing up, and I held on to that before I flunked my exam and went to design school. Even then, I wanted to enroll into graphic designs to eventually illustrate comic books, but I ended up in interior design and down the path of what I'm doing now, interior design followed by designing for TV sets, and also production design, art direction for feature films. Besides, day job compared to my blogging outsiders. Yeah, I love group dynamics. A collection of different people in a group, and together they are able to solve problems, combat evil. But after a while, too much infighting just kills the joy, I feel. But yeah, realistic, I understand. 16, 17, nice, Ultimate X-Men. So this could literally go back to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 15, 16 is back to back. Then 17, 18 is back to back. 15, 16. Sorted. Okay, let me do this now in camera lah. Oh, I sealed this. Wow. And I seal this as well. Wow. So yeah, I do seal my comic books. Give me a moment. Let me indulge in doing this. The joy of doing all this also lah. Yeah, I cannot deny the joy of doing this. It's a sense of accomplishment, and it's also winding down before and after you read a comic book. Sometimes the comic is so wonderful. You finish, you go to the last page, right? You close it, and then you're like, to me, comic books is read alone at home. I don't, as much as I wanted to have like reading clubs, but that doesn't exist, or neither have I actively pursued it lah. But having said that, reading comic books was a very solitary hobby, and I personally felt whenever I finish reading a comic book, especially if it's something that's good, right? When I finish it, I look around. Oh, I want to tell somebody. I want to tell somebody this is awesome. This is rock and roll. I don't need to dissect what the comic book is. I just want to tell somebody it rocks. But there's nobody around. So to wind down, or if I finish a comic book and it sucks lah. Not all comics are the same. I'm not, screaming wonderful things only or pulling rainbows out of my butt. But even if it's a bad comic book I've just read or good comic book I've just read, after reading it, there's no one to talk to about. Not like right now. All these years, past 17 years of blogging, I do not necessarily talk about comic books as much, because when I started the blog, I was heavily into toys, not so much comic books. But right now, if I had a blog, 20 years ago, that would be ideal. I could read something, I like it, I go online, and I spew what I feel about it. Feelings about bloggery, feelings. Knowing myself, I'm not a wordsmith. I might not necessarily come up with something tangible, readable, but I want to share. I want to be able to share. But that was if I had a blog to talk about comic books. And right now, I am able to talk to you folks who decided to tune in and listen so far. Rock and roll, thank you. And I'm grateful. And sorry, I digress. So about sticking. See, I'm rambling to myself. I'm not even looking at anyone else. Rambling to myself. So the concept of sticking or sealing the comic books, okay? The concept is gathering my thoughts and reminding myself is that becomes what happens in lieu of talking to someone about the comic books. So if I'm excited about comic book, I just finish reading it. Wow, rock and roll. then if there's nobody else to talk to about it, I'm still hyped up. I just turn around, find a bag, and find the previous comic, and seal it back in. So all this while, I'm calming myself down, so I can go about my daily tasks and not feel unfulfilled and not have a chance to spill about the comic that I just read. Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense. Number 17, so I need the 18 to put this on the back. 12. Well, I probably loved X-Men more than I expected. Yeah, I need to find issues to go for this. New X-Men. I put aside a stack of new X-Men. Why? Because I don't think I've ever read them. I don't think I've actively read them. They're all foreign to me. I think at this point in time of my collecting, right, they're part of my pull list. I just pulled them, brought them home, set them aside. So the theory was, and this is my concept of binging. This was before streaming, Netflix, whatever channels. This was my concept of binging, that I initially, if let's say monthly comics or bi-monthly comics. So every permit me to ramble on. I don't want to ramble on. Sorry, low battery, so I charge a power bank. So sorry, I have a weekly pool, so I have a stack of comics every week. But because it's monthly releases, if they stick to schedule, that means in theory I have to wait a month until I see the next issue or read the next issue. So thank goodness there's a stack of comics that I could spread out within a month to read. No, within that week to read. So imagine 4 weeks in a month. I have 4 stacks of comics to read, so I can put my attention to different comic books and not just read one issue and it's like, oh my gosh, I need to read the next. Like TV shows right now. If you watch a show right now this week, you have to wait another week to watch another. So when Netflix came about and whatever streaming platforms came about, it was familiar to me because that's what I did with comic books. I collected my pulls and I put them aside so that I am able to, in one sitting, binge through a collection of comic books. Does it make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. New X-Men. Will I read them one day? I have no idea. I've been getting scattered issues all over, so I need to pull them together to be able to read. What is this? The Clockmaker. I vaguely remember reading, but no, I can't be sure. Clockmaker 1, Clockmaker 2. Wow. Can. Like this can. I can read them later-ish. Ecstatics. And I think I mentioned it previously. I bought this primarily because Mike Aldred was the artist. Pete Milligan's stories, I've never fully be able to grasp. I'm not that smart anyway. But yeah, I think I have issues of Ecstatics that I've not read. Oh, nice. Batman Nevermore. Issue 3. Ooh. No, I need to find issues 1 and 2. So, I have no idea what the story is. But I have come to appreciate limited short runs, because then it's to satisfy myself and not be bound to a monthly issue where I need to finish. Let me check the art if it's Guy Davis. Yes, it is. I love Guy Davis. Another one of my illustrators, which I enjoy and adore. Ever since Baker Street, his independent comic, I think Baker Street from, if I'm not wrong, Caliber Comics, is a reimagination of Sherlock Holmes. And that was in black and white. That is one of my top 20 comic books in my life. I think it would be fun if I look at all the older comics and see the actual pages inside and see the ads. But I don't know if there's any copyright issue if I do that though. I really don't know. If anybody knows, please let me know. And yeah, maybe I'll pull up something new or old or whatever randomly and just do a flip through. I think that would be fun. Memories as well, I think. Starman. I love Starman, man. Especially, I can't read gosh. Starman for a period of time. I think this is number one. Should be number one though. Sorry, but eyesight is a bit screwed right now. I can't really see for real. Is it number one? I assume this is one. It's number one. Yay, Starman number one. Initially, I didn't necessarily wanted to buy because I was not familiar with the character. And not at all. So it's like a dude with a staff. I'm like, not so keen until I flip through an issue on the racks. Those are issues that can allow you to read. Then I enjoy the art. And I'm not sure if I liked what I read. If I'm looking at a rack, right, I mean, on a display, I don't think I'll be reading much. So I enjoy the art, and more likely I bought because of the art. BRPD. Guy Davis. Rock and roll lah. Can. Mystique. Oh, I found one issue of Mystique in my previous unboxing. Stack. 3 and 4. So if I put them together, I might have a series to be able to read. Not a huge fan of Mystique. JSA. Nice. I think this is the error where I do back to back. Never stick again. 55. 54. I never did collect JSA. Justice Society of America. But more likely because of the art and Jeff Johns. I think at this point I collected. I mean, I followed writers as well. Yeah, no memories of that. Aquaman. Why did I buy Aquaman? I have no recollection of reading this. A lot of times, I can't say instinctively, this is my first reactions. If I have a memory of what I read or not. So this looks like I've not read it. Number 6. It might well be a comics binging plan that didn't happen. X-Men. Nice. Bendis, Finch, Tilbert. 34. Okay, finally Mystique, number 2. Let me put these guys together. 2, no 3. No 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, can. Again, issue number 1 deviate, another cover. And issue number 1 deviate, another cover. Good heavens, man. Which art is Glenn Fabry? How to deny that, man? Oof, this is wonderful art, man. So it's a good call that they mixed in the comic book crowd with the painted aesthetic illustrators. Okay, let me see the inside. Now I'm intrigued. Let me see the inside. Wow, can feel the age. The pages are a bit dusty already. Was it glow in the dark? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I can feel the age. So a lot of times, some folks will tell me, sell the comics. I'm like, how to quality ain't meaning, not meaning black, not mint. It's aged. So at the same time, I'm too cheapskate to sell it cheap to read. Then I might as well read it myself. Unless I read it, then I sell it after that. If I choose to sell it. If I choose to read it. Liking the art. Recognize the art. Let me find the name. I don't want to mispronounce your name, bro. But I remember him from Spider-Man. Humberto Ramos. Love you, bro. Warren Ellis story lah. So I cannot deny Warren Ellis. The Warren Ellis that I remembered. Can. You know what I really want to find? There are a few issues I want to find. A few series I want to find. And don't know, maybe throughout when I go through my stack, I might be able to find them. There's Planetary and Authority. I've read them over a few times. But ultimately, I want to read them again. And I'm so close to buying the trade paperback. But I know I can't afford. Yeah, I can't afford. So the next best thing is to find the issues and read again. Because that's comics to me is that initially, when I first started out, of course, I fell into the speculator market where I buy, I can't say multiple copies, one to keep, one to read. I never could afford more. I remembered in comic book shops when I started as a student, when I did not have any relationships with comic book shops, everything is down to the cents. I remember a shop, can't remember the name. I know where it is, but I won't mention it here. Whatever I had in my pocket was whatever I could spend on comic books. And because I have no relationship with the comic book shop owner, I'm the shy dude. I didn't strike up conversations or hustle. If I'm less 10 cents, don't say 5 cents, 10 cents in my pocket, then I might have to let go of one comic book. I have to choose, I have to let go of one comic book, knowing full well a week later the price will go up. How it goes up is another thing, goes double or more, but that would mean whatever I missed buying, the price will go up. So it's always a bit tricky. If I feel I reach a point where I'll get established titles that I won't feel the pinch of the price going up a week later, I'll get them. But I also recognize that I was curious to try different titles, to try different art. Just starting out. Again, this was 14, 15? I can't remember. 13? I cannot remember. Years old. So back in the day, it was a tricky premise because I want to try new comics. And until few years later, when I struck up relationships with comic book shops, their owners, then we chat, and where I could slowly, conceivably start earning money or beyond pocket, what's the word for it? Not pocket change. Pocket change? Well, what's the word for it? I lost my train of thought. Pocket money. And even until I started in the national service, conscripted national service, where I was paid more, can't say a lot, more than my usual pocket money and whatever part-time gig I was doing, then I could afford to have pull lists. At the same time, chat with having a relationship with comic book shops, I could sort of do credit to a certain degree. I was trying not to do credit because the likelihood of stacking up costs is always very tricky. And this was way before me trying to get credit card. For years, I resisted getting credit cards until I started buying toys. That's the irony. So that's why toys are evil, is to remind myself toys are evil. But having said that, back to comic books, all I did not buy on credit, all based on cash and my savings and whatever I had. And I'm happy because number one. But having said that, being able to buy comics straight away with cash, I think now, I don't know if I felt it then, but I feel now it freed me up from, it's like guilt-free trip. I buy what I buy, I go back and I read it. I don't need to feel, oh man, I need to pay later, versus, oh man, I paid for this crap. I can't, So I paid for, and what I get is what I paid for. Does it make sense? Of course, this is me thinking now. Back then, I have no idea if I thought that way. Sometimes just overthinking. Birthright. I really want to reread this. But I need to check if there's more than 2 issues, or if I have these 2 issues. I don't want to end up liking it and get stuck and not be able to finish. Alternatively, what I did a few years ago, I got off the bandwagon of not reading comic books. I started again, but I visited the library, my local library, a little bit more, because the local library has a section on graphic novels. And the trick is, whatever comics I read, I can only hope that the library had a copy of. Whether or not it's the same trade paperback, or if it's borrowed out or not. So the trick is whether or not I'm lucky enough to get it. So I tried a bit, I was lucky for a little bit, but after a while I don't think I was lucky, or I didn't have time, so I stopped that practice. And now I just not jump into it. I just read what I have. Hey, hi Pop Toy Culture. Hello, thanks for coming back again. Just at my tail end of this, I was rambling on about my stories, and I appreciated folks who are listening to me ramble on about my toy collecting past. And I do appreciate my toy collecting past because a lot of times it did affect my growing up, and it did affect how I view things currently, actually. Having said that, I finished this stack for the day. I'll leave this video in my reels for folks who can who choose to go through and listen to me ramble again. And I'll see you folks with another video tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow. I don't know how to fix because this past week has been a bit tricky on the family side, so there might be family issues, health issues going on, so I might not be readily free to be able to do all this, but I will try to do videos as much as I can. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to wander off a ramble. Thank you all for reading. Keep my spirits up. Take a rest. Go back to my blog, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.